Good evening, folks. This is Sophie. I'm Sophie Kirkham, and welcome to Friday, 8 p.m. London Hypnobirthing group. And we are talking hypnotherapy, which is, of course, a big part of the hypnobirthing program. And here to my side, you can see Tracy. Tracy, please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about you.
Of course. Hello, everyone. Good evening or good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. So I'm Tracy Wary. I'm in North London, Islington, and I've been teaching hypnobirthing both group and private classes since around 2014, I think. So yes, it's gone really quickly. And like Sophie, we're going to be talking about hypnotherapy today, hypnosis, what it is, why it's used in hypnobirthing, and what the benefits of it are.
Absolutely. Because I think that some of the members of our group might be missing a trick. I think they might think that hypnotherapy and hypnobirthing will not have a clear understanding. So when I rang you earlier to go through this, I said, look, I think people they could be missing out because they don't know how hypnotherapy works, how hypnosis works. And it's described in many ways, and yet actually it's very simple. So when I think about hypnotherapists, I often think of you, Tracy. So I've just had my third child. I birthed my third baby 5 weeks ago, and towards the end of my pregnancy, I wanted something else to listen to hypnosis-wise. So I prodded Tracy and said, "What have you got? What can I have?" And so she sent me something through. What was it? What do you call it? I called it the beach.
Yeah, pretty much the beach. Yeah, because a lot of ladies that I've worked with have been really soothed by water. So I thought it was quite nice to put something together which ties in that element of water. And usually when I'm working one-to-one, I might speak to a lady about like a holiday or a special place or somewhere she's been that she enjoyed. So I used elements of that, tying in that sense of being free on holiday, being carried by the water, and also using the perfect synergy, you know, the waves, surges, whatever you want to call them, matching what's happening in the body with what's going on that beach. So yeah, the beach is what I call it.
Yeah, it is. It was lovely. It was really nice. And it was very hot as well. I can remember that week was really hot, and it was lovely to listen to. But so for those of you who are new to hypnobirthing, I think maybe people roll their eyes sometimes. They go, hypno, what? Hypno, hippie, whatever. One of my best friends calls me an organised hippie. I am a director of a limited calm hypnobirthing company.
So
I'm pretty organised, and I do enjoy hypnosis. My husband is a hypnotherapist as well, and we used hypnotherapy the night before we used it to help turn our baby head down after she'd gone head up. So it's very effective. So just dropping that one in there. How can that work? So Tracy, can I ask you to sort of just give us an umbrella explanation, just to explain to everybody how does it work? What is it?
Sure. Yeah, definitely start with the what is it, because I think sort of some myth busting there. So just like you said, Sophie, it's so simple. I like to describe it as like a narrowed focus of attention. So being in the hypnotic state is like being in a state of narrowed attention. Mm-hmm. And it's actually a state that we all go in and out of very naturally, several times throughout the day. So if you think about times when you're daydreaming, you know, when you're on autopilot and you make a journey from A to Z without realizing how you got there, sort of not remembering the steps along the way, that state that you were in, that daydreamy autopilot state, is very much what the state of hypnosis feels like. And also perhaps when you're falling asleep or waking up, that kind of in-between feeling, that's all it is in terms of what it feels like. So I know sometimes people might be anxious about, you know, will I feel completely out of it? Am I in a trance to the point where I can't bring myself around? But just in the same way that if you're daydreaming, somebody sort of, you know, prodding you or a loud noise would bring you out of it, it's exactly the same with that hypnotic state That's a really important one to get in there, is that you can't get stuck in it. It's not a a state that you can sort of end up in this limbo of hypnotic trance forever. It's very natural. Your body and mind does it anyway, and it's very easy to come out of it as you wish, whenever you wish.
Yes, you decide. Yeah. And like really basic stuff, where would you do this hypnosis? Like, you know, we hear don't do it while you're driving, don't listen to it while you're driving, but where, like, so if we've got mums to be or birth partners wanting to listen to hypnosis and they've got work that they go to, or they've got other children, like where can they listen well for it to work well?
Yeah, good point. So just as Sophie said, definitely don't use it while operating machinery, driving, anything like that, because of course the idea is for you to get into this super relaxed state, to the point where you may not have your full sharp faculties about you. So definitely don't want to be operating anything that could, end up in a crash or whatever. But in terms of where you can use it, anytime when you are having downtime, when you're relaxing. So for example, before bed, you might want to put a track on, whether that's you've got your earphones in, or even better, I've worked with a lot of couples who listen to it on out loud, on a stereo system or something, because then baby can hear it too. Obviously it's a muffled sound through the amniotic fluid, etc., but baby gets used to the kind of cadences and that. Just the pitch and the tone of this slow, hypnotic rhythm. So the baby gets the benefit. Exactly, yes. The accompanying background music that the baby will come to know and be familiar with as well. And I've again spoken with some couples that have said that their freshborn, their newborn, will still respond to that music when they're born. They'll put that track on and they'll find it has a effect on the little one. So it's good for the family, I would say. I have even had clients who will listen to it on a commute. So if they have a train ride or a bus ride, if you're comfortable doing that, you can listen to it there, as long as you're not the one driving. I would say absolutely fine to listen to it in those scenarios. And I think a big one that comes up, and I'm sure Sophie you get it loads as well, is what if I fall asleep? I listen to it before bed and I fall asleep and it gets to the end.
What if that happens?
One of the things, again, that I reassure people of is absolutely fine. We are speaking with, we being the hypnotist, the hypnotherapist, the message is being delivered to the subconscious. So you don't need to be consciously alert and awake for that message to go through. If you think about any other situation, so let's say you are falling asleep and you've got some workmen drilling outside your house, you'll hear that drilling and you'll probably work that into your dream somehow. In your dream you'll decide that you're renovating your home or something. It's very much the same with hypnotherapy. If you've got these words going on in the background, fair enough, you're not consciously hearing them, but your mind is hearing them and doing something with them, even if you're not aware. And I have mentioned sort of conscious quite a bit, sort of conscious and unconscious. So I should probably, do you think I should elaborate a bit on that?
We should. I mean, there's a metaphor that a lot of people use where they talk about an iceberg and your mind. So your mind, or you, I mean, it's not just like your brain, it's all of you, isn't it, in a sense, has a conscious and an unconscious, or a conscious and a subconscious. So explain, what's the difference? So if you conk out after the induction to trance, so the bit of the hypnotherapy that you're listening to, if you you don't remember the story part, then the induction to trance has worked. Well, what Tracey is saying is your subconscious is listening to that. What's that all about? And why and how?
Yeah, sure. I can hear some.
Yeah, she's got hiccups. And she also sounds like she might be getting ready to have another poo. So that'd be great.
Good fun. It's good fun to get out now.
I don't care, actually. I really don't care. Hopefully she'll wait till we finished. But that's all part of being a parent, right? You just have to take it in stride.
As you find it.
Exactly. Right, conscious and subconscious. Let's stick with subconscious, because I don't want people thinking unconscious.
Yes, of course. That's a good point. They are the same thing. So if you do hear people talking about unconscious, subconscious, they are the same thing. But I think exactly like Sophie said, for the purpose of this, we'll talk about subconscious. So unconscious doesn't mean that you are knocked out. But we'll stick with subconscious in this instance. So just like Sophie said, the analogy of the iceberg is often used when talking about the mind and the layers that we have. So you have the conscious part of your mind, which is your problem solving, your rationalizing, strategizing, sort of thinking things and working things out. And I think there's sort of varying degrees of agreement with percentages, but I typically hear that accounts for about 12% of your mind. And then the subconscious, if you think of like the huge massive iceberg underneath the surface, that's about 88%. So as you can see from those very rough stats there, obviously the subconscious is a far greater mass and makes up more of what we are. And I like to think of the subconscious as being like your life's super hard drive. So so much of what we do is actually based on, it's like instinctive behaviors. So every experience and everything that we see and smell and taste and experience and go through in life is saved in this super hard drive. So our mind refers back to that super hard drive in like sort of milliseconds, less than even, to decide how to respond to any given situation. And obviously in birth and hypnobirthing, one of the things that we do talk to parents about is that sometimes there are deep-seated kind of worries or fears or anxieties that a mother or even a father to be may have that they're not aware of. And when they're in the hypnotic state, you're essentially bypassing this conscious, critical, rationalizing part to get to the subconscious, which is where all of the stuff is stored, basically.
Everything, including time, some would say, from before we were even conceived, and something
absolutely there's lots of people that think that your birth is stored there, your own birth.
So however you were birthed on a subconscious, unconscious level, you're not even consciously aware of it, that impacts on you. It's really interesting because I came to hypnobirthing because I was pregnant with my son who's 10 now, and I can remember getting to the point in pregnancy where I was like, this baby's got to come out soon, and remembering the story that my mum had relayed to me about my birth. And I because I'm a hypnobirthing teacher, I'm not going to tell you a scare story, but I will tell you that my mum did phenomenally well to birth me vaginally, and actually she probably should have been offered an alternative. She should have been offered a belly birth. And I think it was very upsetting for her and for me, and I'm not surprised that I work in the field that I do. I think unconsciously I was passionate that actually kids and their mothers need a gentler, more positive start to motherhood, and that birthing doesn't have to be, something that you end up recovering from. And that conscious realization didn't come for decades, but it's always been there, probably from the point of being born and going, what just happened? So it's very
born, isn't it? It's a very big deal being born for the little one. Such a journey.
They're not just blobs, they're living people, and they're sentient. And they need that gentleness, you can't just sort of, So yes, the subconscious is, I love your reference of super hard drive. And I heard something very interesting the other day about the questions that we ask ourselves. So imagine that when you're thinking about your fears, your concerns, or your worries about birthing, imagine that the questions you're asking yourself, it's a bit like typing it into the Google search engine. And whatever you ask is going to be kind of what it comes up with. So make sure that the questions you're asking are of good quality. And some hypnotherapists will use a hypnosis where they can ask you questions when you're in that lovely trancey state, and your subconscious will proffer and give to you your own inner wisdom that you can then use. And I love working with that data. I find that that is the rich, juicy, useful, helpful information.
Absolutely.
Yeah, really interesting for me as the teacher, but as the hypnotherapist, and super, super useful for the people. And you know, you can't rationalize what the responses are necessarily. They are what they are, and yet it's fascinating. It's kind of tailored, isn't it? It's tailored to the client's needs. Is there anything else that you would add about? So if you did a hypnotherapy session with somebody, and you just briefly outline what happens. What do you do?
So obviously there's always kind of like an initial consultation to find out what the person wants. So I would speak to somebody about why have they come to hypnobirthing? What would they like to have happen? What's their kind of goal? What does the birth look like if it could go exactly as they would like? And then, just like as you said, Sophie, working with their language, so the things that they give back to me. If they say, I want it to be smooth, I would use the word smooth, you know, so using that language that has obviously come from you, it's in, you know, your own words, you know what that means. I don't even necessarily need to know what that means, you know. Somebody might use a word that I think, oh, I wouldn't have associated that with positive birth, but if that's what the mother has proffered as her positive language, and I'll work that in. And essentially, hypnobirthing is using hypnotherapy, which is using language to affect positive change. So as we spoke about in the beginning, when you're in that hypnotic state, which you are using self-hypnosis in hypnobirth, and you can get yourself into that state, but listening to the tracks, the voice, whoever you're listening to is guiding you there. When you're in that state, you're hearing all of these positive suggestions that are pointing you in the direction of the things you said you would like. So if the mother wants to feel confident, she wants to feel positive, maybe she has special circumstances in her birth, and she wants to almost like picture herself on the other side. She wants to maybe her focus is, I want to know that I will look into my baby's lovely, healthy, happy face at the end of it, whatever it may be. We use that, we build that in so that she can line her super hard drive, her subconscious, with these images, these kind of goals, these references, whatever it is that she's wanting to work towards. Because I really strongly believe, I mean, I didn't come up with it, but you know, there really is this sense of what you focus on, it's more easy to head towards. So I always use the analogy of driving along a bumpy road. You know, you're driving a potholed road. If you sort of look at the potholes and think, oh gosh, I don't want into those, you'll steer into every single one, right? Whereas if you look at the flat surface and say, I want to stay to the flat, you're more likely to go that way. As what's the saying? It's energy goes where your intention flows, or something along those lines. So I think hypnosis, hypnotherapy is a really good way to kind of assist with that, because there is far more to hypnobirthing and positive birth than wishful thinking. I just want to get that out there. It's about the things that we speak about in the group. So it's about knowing your choices, about informed consent, it's all of those things. But as far as the hypnotherapy side of things go, I think it's having taken all of those things into consideration. This is what I know I would like to have happen. Let's listen to that, bolster my sense of resolve, my confidence in my care providers, my confidence in my you know, my own ability to do things, my own ability to choose the right birth partner, or to, you know, employ my breathing techniques, or to whatever the focus might be. And Sophie, indeed, and you and I were talking earlier actually, and you made a really good point about we do talk about the fact that the work of hypnobirthing is done during the pregnancy. So it's not like, oh, you've got a disc or whatever it is, an MP3 that you just save and put on in labour. You are doing the work during your pregnancy, but at the same time, you can also listen to those scripts in labour as well. Because I think sometimes people think, oh, it's just for pregnancy. I've done that now, don't need to listen to it when I'm labouring or birthing. But actually it served as an anchor being like something that encapsulates all of the positive association that you've built up throughout your however many weeks or months of pregnancy. It's almost like it's your confidence in a little nutshell. So if you listen to that when you're labouring,
it's a resource you can into. It's
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a program that you can run if we stick with your hard drive. And
I love that program. Yeah.
it's a reprogramming. So you might have come to birth, come to pregnancy, realized, oh God, I got to birth my baby, and I'm just filled with fear. I've only ever heard, you know, people telling me scary stories, or, you know, I've heard a handful of positive stories about birth, or my last birth was really tough. I don't want to do that again. I need to do it differently, etc., etc. And yeah, I totally agree with you that there are women who will listen to their hypnosis and their birth partners, because it matters. You know, when I birthed my 3 kids, actually, so my ex was actually really good on the day. And my husband and father of my daughters, Andy, it was familiar with some of the tracks that I've been listening to, the work that I do, and being able to say a few significant phrases that mattered. So towards the end of birthing B, she needed to turn to come down, so she's putting a lot of force down into my sacrum, which was really hard work for me during surges. So I had midwife pressing on it and Andy sort of pressing, and there was lots of lovely massage going on. In between surges I was fine, but he would just say things like, and your body is opening beautifully, and visualize what you need the baby to do. That was it. That's all I needed to hear. I didn't need the whole, I didn't need to listen to a whole hypnosis. And yet there are some clients of mine who listen to a track on a loop. I'll always remember one woman that was listening to something. She was about the 6th time, I think, that she was, so they'd gone all the way through 6 times. And her husband turned it off to put something else on, and she was like, what are you doing? Nope. Put that back on, listen to that. So your anchored state, the emotional state, the way that you feel when you've learned and you practice listening to that, and then reminding yourself of it in labour. And yet some women don't need to listen to it throughout. But you're absolutely right. It's not just like, okay, so I've got my birth bag list of what I'm going to be packing for birth, and I got my hypnosis track downloaded. It's way more than that. And so it's a lot more than that. And I loved your phrase about using language to affect a positive change. So we work with a lot of women who are having vaginal birth after a previous cesarean birth, for example. A lot of the people watching in the States and in North America, it's a big high cesarean section rate there. And I just think hypnobirthing's got a part to play in changing that. And the positivity. Both of us had special circumstances, by the way, for you watching or listening, or watching this over on YouTube or listening to the podcast. This is, you know, Tracey had special circumstances with her birth for her son. I had special circumstances with the birth for my son first time. And it's just, it works for everybody, but it's not, you know, about just having a sort of drug-free natural home birth, which is not out there for me anymore, Tracey. You know, all these years into learning about birth and realizing the more I know, the more you can't predict it. Using stuff that bolsters your confidence and makes you resilient and enables your birth partner to be present, useful, helpful, so that you can be at your best. That's just worth so much, because for you starting your parenting journey, or your second child, or third, or if you're Jeannie, your 5th, then it's, I know, good old Jeannie. This stuff matters, and so start as soon as you find out about it, and it's never too late. Never too late.
I was definitely 30 plus. I came to it late. Definitely. And I was elated. I wish I knew about it sooner. In fact, that's why I taught, because I thought, wow, that was so good. The little bit I learned in that short period of time, I want to learn it all and teach people. That's what brought me here.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. Can you just tell us, so for the record, so everyone can look you up. So you're Tracey Aware. Where are you based and how can people work with you?
Sure. So I'm based in Islington, North London. My website is Sankofa HypnoBirthing, which we'll link in the bottom of this video so you can find it. And in terms of working with me, I do run some groups. I'm doing more private sessions now, so with mums on their own or mums and their partners. So just get in touch. I love people on the phone, so feel free to get in touch. We can have a chat, find out what you're looking for, what's going on, and take it from there.
Okay. Great, excellent. And we'll do another Friday night soon. I'm trying to remember what October's theme is. I've forgotten what October's theme is. Our next month's theme is equally. So, you know, this month we're doing hypnobirthing, we're doing hypnotherapy, and we will meet again. There's a track that people can listen to from tonight. So if you go to www. if anyone ever says that anymore, calmhypnobirthing.com/comfort. There's a free hypnosis track that you can listen to. You just got to share your email address or your phone number, and then we can send you the link through to a Dropbox, which is a file sharing thing, because audio files take up quite a lot of space. So they're stored in the clouds most of the time. And then you can download Dropbox app, have it on your phone and listen through that. And that is a hypnotherapy using an NLP technique, a neuro-linguistic programming technique, to help to release some fears and to resource yourself emotionally for birthing. So link in the comments, it's calmhypnobirthing.com/comfort. And Tracey, is there anything else that you want to share with anybody right now?
No, I think that is it for now. Sophie did mention that I shared a track with her when she was in the final weeks before B came along. So I can write personalised scripts for clients. So if someone has a particular circumstance or particular thing they're concerned about, or even just really curious and interested in having a script written just for them, I am available to do that as well. So even if you've already taken a hypnobirthing class but maybe just want a personalised script written, that is something that I can offer. So please do get in touch about that as well.
And that's Sankofa, SANKOFA.
Hypnobirthing, yeah, .co.uk.
Excellent. Well, it's been a pleasure. We took half an hour, which is amazing. And I managed to get through everything, I think. Brilliant. Thank you so much. So don't miss out. Don't just buy a book. Get your hypnotherapy and get your course and enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. We will pause and see you again very soon.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.